Well. We are going live. We are a few minutes early. Welcome. You're listening to the Let the Truth Be Told talk show. We're getting prepared to do the show. It starts at 6 o'clock. We went a little bit early so that we can share it around to our groups. I don't know if Facebook got sort of pedo at me and I can't share it to my other groups now, but we're going to send it out anyway. To the groups, folks, y'all chime in, share it around. We got a great show. We got some good things to talk about. And I think there's a lot of things the American people don't know. They don't know about the new currency that they're trying to put out there and take away cash. They're trying to control people, the way that they make money. And it's just, this country is just really going. But folks, we've got a great show. Y'all tune in, y'all share it around. You can go see us at TECN TV, the Exceptional Conservative Network television to the American people and patriots across this country. You can go and see us live at a television station, TECNTV.com. And you'll be able to check us out if you can't catch us on Facebook, because they clowning a little bit today, bro. But that's okay. Y'all share it around. We got a great show. It's all out Wednesday night, and we're going to make it happen tonight. We got some great hosts. We got some great topics. So y'all come on in, settle down, and let's get ready to have a great show. That's what we need to do. Got great information. Can you hear me, partner?
Yep, sure can.
Okay, great. I can hear you. What about there, Miss Dawn? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Miss Dawn?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm at Panera, so I wanted to make sure I had a connection. So
okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna take off the blue screen, the screen, because it's probably taking up too many resources.
You gonna take off the green screen?
Background.
Yeah.
The background.
Folks, y'all come on in, share it around. We got a great show. Let the truth be told. It's all out Wednesday, 3 minutes to start time, and we're gonna get it in. And even though if Facebook continues to play with us and continues to play with the sound and all of that, you can catch us at TECN. That's right, TECN TV. Let me see. Did you catch us live anywhere, bro? Did we get live yet? We should be.
Not right now, no.
I mean, this is horrible. That's okay. We'll just come out from the station and we'll do what we got to do. But y'all folks, y'all share it around. It's a great show. Y'all can come on in. We started a few minutes early, so that way we can share it around to our groups and get people involved. So yes, it's that time. Y'all share it around. Come on in. We're going to start exactly at 6 o'clock. We got 2 minutes before showtime. But folks, I'm telling you, we got a great show. We're going to be discussing about the American currency. We're going to be talking about the Safety Act law that we're going to dig into that and some other things. We got a great show. Y'all, please share it around. Facebook got it to where my groups can't get it for some reason. We were shut down to share to groups, but that's okay. You can go see us at TECNTV.com, and we're live at the TV station. So y'all share it around. Let's get it in. We got 2 minutes before showtime. We got a great show coming too, man. We putting a lot of information out here to the American people because the American people are not getting the information that's truthful to them. And that's what this is about. We're going to make sure you got it, make sure you understand it, break it down for you so you can use it in your life and it can be valuable, because the powers that be is not going to, they're going to make sure that you don't know something. And that's for sure. 1 minute, folks. I'm going to put y'all in the green room right quick. And we got about a minute before showtime, folks. Like I said, you guys can come on in. You can share it around. And most definitely, there we go. Share it to your groups. We got a great show. We got some good stuff to talk about. I'm telling you, some real good stuff we'll be talking about. And you can share it around, and you can let people know that we got a great show. And you can find us on TECN TV. TECN TV. You can find us there. And because, like I said, Facebook continuing to play, but you can find us also on YouTube. But it's 6 o'clock on the dot. Y'all ready to rumble? Let's go. Let's get it in, y'all. That's just great. Share it around, folks. We finna get started. It is that time.
Global, universal, and coming from the windy city of Chicago,
Let's get ready to
Illinois.
rock and roll.
Now it's time to let the truth be told with David Lowry.
Testing 1, 2. Let's get ready to rumble. Good morning, Vietnam. Good morning, good afternoon, folks, and welcome to the talk show, Let the Truth Be Told. Folks, we got a great show coming at you tonight, and the information that we're going to give to you tonight, we want our listeners to share it, and we want our listeners to do research on it. Because a lot of times when we say stuff, people will not research it, and that's why the politicians have been able to trick us, and that's why they've been able to lie to us. They've been able to do the things that they shouldn't be doing because the American people are not asking questions or researching. Yesterday, we talked a little bit about the Safety Act, and that's the new law. They call it the PURGE law, like you see on TV when everything is lawless and criminals are running around and killing. Well, Illinois has created a law that could be similar to that, where they're letting criminals out without bail. And this is really, the real thing of it is this, and I want the American people and the people in the state of Illinois to understand this. This law was put in and enacted under the restorative justice side. This law should have been put to the people here in the state of Illinois on whether they wanted to eliminate bail and let people out of jail who was less fortunate. But just as they create the laws, they created this Safety Act, and the Safety Act has a lot of other stuff in it, just like the government does when they create law. They'll create a law, but then they'll put inside the law 2,000 pages. They'll put other stuff in there like, we want to donate $1 million to this place over here, or we want this to be done. All of these things that they put into these laws and the bills before they become law, the American people don't need. And so with this Safety Act, that's what we've been looking at, and I've been looking at it closely. You would think that the timing of this would make you think, So, but J.B. Pritzker, who's running for governor of Illinois, he has done so much stuff to this state. He has been corrupt. He is a liar. He's a thief. He has been stealing money out of both drug legs here in the country. He has really made Illinois a place where the citizens in this state are leaving in droves. And just like yesterday, I got a call talking about they want all the pastors to come to Jesse White event. So Jesse White's going to retire, but now they're recycling old politicians like Alexis Janulis. He was a state treasurer. He stole a bunch of money. He called his parents' bank to go bankrupt. All the things that a bad, corrupt political leader could do in the state, Alexis Janulis has done. And this endorsement by Jesse White is a slap in the face to Black people. It's a slap in the face to white folks who invested their money into the Bright Star program, in which he robbed the money out of it, closed his parents' banks, loaned money to the mob, and he never went to jail a day for all the money that was stolen. And the people who invested into the Bright Star program lost every penny that they had invested from their children from the time they were born until the time they got ready to go to college. All the money was gone. So the Democratic Party now is recycling old politicians. You would think that Alexis Junilis wouldn't even think about coming back to run for any office after he got caught butt naked stealing. But yet, because the Democratic Party does not have a good bevy of candidates, they're using old politicians because they think the new voters will not research. And that's why I'm telling the voters, start researching people like Alexis Junilis. Start researching these candidates. Start looking at J.B. Pritzker on what he's actually done. Because what he has done to the state of Illinois has been deemed, it's just been deemed corrupt. The whole state is in bad shape. He's enacted homosexual laws in the school. He continued to lie about the economy, all the bad things that happened to us in Illinois. He was part of the pandemic because he wanted to take control of this state and implement all the New World Orders laws that they did. And then saying that, I'm going to bring my colleagues in. We got a great show. Y'all share it around. And we're going to chop it up tonight. We're going to talk about the Safety Act. We're going to talk about cryptocurrency. And we're going to talk about the American dollar, because now the government wants to monitor every penny that we make. So giving honor to God and my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, we're going to get this show started. Welcome, first-time listeners. If you're just passing by, stop in and listen to what we're talking about. It could benefit you. Hey, partner, what's going on? How you doing?
Good, Dave.
Yeah, you sound like you ain't too happy.
I'm in
And then Miss
Illinois.
Dawn Marie. What's up, Miss Dawn Marie? How you doing today? I can't hear you. Keep talking. We still
Can't hear
cannot hear you. Can you hear? See, say something. You
I
just
can't
went
hear.
in and out. Can you hear us, Steve?
No, I can't.
I can't hear you neither. You might want to try to shut it down and come back. But tonight, folks, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Make sure we get Dawn in because she's going to talk about the cryptocurrency.
Yep.
Steve, yesterday when we talked about the legislation. We talked about all the black politicians. And I want the people in the state of Illinois to know that a lot of the laws that has been passed, the people in the state of Illinois did not have any input in those laws that was passed. They did not have any input in the comprehensive sex education. They have not had input in any of the things that this Governor J.B. Pritzker and this predominantly Black Democratic leadership in the state of Illinois. Now, I want to say this to the people in the state of Illinois, and we have to be for real with ourselves. I just want you to think about one thing. Go to your door, turn on your television, and I want you to look at how bad that the state of Illinois is in. We paying higher taxes. We paying gas taxes that J.B. Pritzker has implemented. The economy is already bad, but J.B. is steady doing stuff to make money off the American people in the state of Illinois. He's under investigation for a ComEd deal where he stole money with Michael Madigan. I just don't see how anybody that's a voter in the state of Illinois that has looked at this state in the last 2 years and looked at the state and really think about what has happened. This state is like last in the world for economic development. It has so many corrupt leaders here. Every other governor has went to jail. And J.B. Pritzker is going to be no different. And just like I said yesterday, it's a shame. It is really a damn shame that's in the Black community that we got Black pastors who know that there are crooks taking office in the state of Illinois. And a lot of these Black pastors have programs that the state fund. And that's what this is all about. Those pastors who take money from the state, who are worried about J.B. Pritzker not getting back into office. But I want to say to you, just remember, because I know pastors that's got the programs, and they did not get their program money, and their programs was supposed to start in August. But a lot of pastors didn't get the program money because JB is mad and he's trying to withhold their money to force them. And see, this is what I don't like about this. The Democratic Party is using pastors and forcing them by withholding their 501c3 money to encourage their parishioners to vote Democratic. And that is against the 501c3 charter. And a lot of these pastors should lose that charter because they're openly accepting money. They're openly endorsing Democratic leaders. That's something they should not be doing. At a 501c3, we are not allowed to take sides. We are not allowed to campaign for one side or the other. And I can tell you, there's so many pastors in the state here in Illinois who are going against their own charter by endorsing candidates from the Democratic Party. And no further ado, I'm going to bring my homeboy Steve in. Steve, let's get started with the Safety Act. Go ahead and tell our listeners about the real reason why the Safety Act has been put into effect and how it's going to affect the people in the state of Illinois.
Well,
Don, you back?
I'm back.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Okay, good. Go ahead, Steve.
Well, it was enacted basically to buy votes.
Yes.
It was enacted. It just like California did. They made it like certain crimes don't mean nothing. You know, you go out and commit a crime. I had that list. Let's see here.
Take your time, bro.
Second degree murder. Now they consider that is non-detainable.
Hold up. You said second degree. So let's get this right so the people in Illinois can understand. If you commit the crime of second degree murder, you mean to say that they will not detain you and you don't have any bail? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. They're
Now define under that, because every state is different. Can you give an example of what type of egregious murder would be considered a second degree? Because it's the district attorney that determines.
Can you turn your phone up a little bit, Dawn? Can you turn it? You need to go up a little bit.
Okay, does that help?
It helped a little bit. Okay, Steve, go ahead.
Well, what she's alluding to is who's going to decide and what's going to get decided, right? Is that correct, Dawn Marie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. This is the problem with the Safety Act. This Safety Act has not been thought out. This is what we've got. Democrats that run and control both houses. They don't have to think this out because they've got the power to go ahead and do what they want to do. Right now, the Democrats themselves are rethinking this Safety Act. They're saying, oh, well, maybe there's things in there that we might need to reconsider. That's proving right there that they didn't think this out. This was all purely motivated to gather votes from the Black community because these laws or these crimes pertain mostly to the Black community. And I'll give the example here of it in Chicago: Black on Black crimes, gang violence, so on and so forth. That's being excused in here. So that's what I mean, that this has been put through basically to buy people's votes in the Black community.
And Steve, I have to concur with you that because this was done under the restorative justice. And you would think that the state's attorney, Kim Foxx, who has been one horrible hell of a state's attorney for Cook County, they've continued to try to figure out ways because let me tell the American people and patriots this across the country. a lot of people who are independents and a lot of soft Democrats and soft Republicans, now that they see what the Democratic Party has done to this country, they're not planning to vote. You're not going to see, they don't have Trump again. And this is what we have to be careful of. We have to be careful of the Democratic Party to resurrect Donald Trump and to use it as a distraction so that they would think that Trump has something to do with this election. Donald Trump and Margot and all the other stuff that has happened has nothing to do with this election. This election is purely about what is happening in this country. The Democratic Party has used COVID and used the pandemic to change laws and change constitutional rights. And now they're trying to create a distraction because even with this Safety Act law, they have other stuff that's in this bill and in this law that is not conducive to the citizens of Illinois. But just like Steve was saying, oh, well, now we might just need to make some changes in it. But see, this is what I'm warning the Black community about. You have to be warned about this. If the Democrats push this bill through and they added stuff to it, and now they're talking about, well, we need to take a closer look at it because we need to make changes. The reason why they need to make changes is because we are researching it. People are looking at it and they're seeing that this bill is not just about ending cash bail. This bill is being used as a tool because J.B. Pritzker knows that Black people are fed up with him. He knows that he doesn't have the churches on lock like he thought he had. He knows that the Democratic Party is so weak right now that they're recycling old candidates who are thieves, thinking that the young voters do not know who they are. And so he came out and said, okay, well, we're going to push this through because we need something right before the election because Black people are sick and tired of J.B. Pritzker. They should be sick and tired of people like Jesse White, who's endorsing a criminal who stole from the state already. As far as Jesse White goes, Jesse White has not done anything but take money and be an advocate against Black people, but yet using them to make him think that he cares about us. And I'm saying it, and I'm saying it to his face. He has done nothing to assist this state but raise motor vehicle fees and keep his mouth shut about all the illegal laws that are being passed as the Secretary of the State.
Hey, Dave.
And so I'm telling the pastors, all y'all that's going to run over there to his little event, he's making a fool out of you when he introduced Alexis Dunelis as trying to endorse him as the new Secretary of State. And if you fall for it, if we fall for the trick, because I'm not going to the okie doke. If Black folks fall for the trick just because JB made this PURGE law and says, and we have to be careful because Black people going to go like, oh, they let my boy out of jail. He wasn't supposed to get out to 2095, but they let him out of jail. They're only doing it for a period of time. And just like they said they need to make changes, the changes are going to be made after the election. And Black people remember this. The Democratic Party want us to ride with them. They want us to go along with them. They want us to support them and all the bull crap that they do. And then just as soon as we help them get into office, they kick us out the car while the car's going. And so Black people, we need to really wake up and understand the Democratic Party has earthly no good for us. Neither party really does. But we have to be able to look at the values of the parties and make decisions from there.
Hey, Dave, can I add?
Yes, sir.
Let me add a little bit to this cashless stuff.
Go ahead.
This cashless stuff also was added for the mere fact is that it was directed toward the Black community, claiming that they didn't have the money to get out of jail, when in fact, that's not any part of the truth at all, because we've always had where you could get out on personal recognizance.
Yes.
And you can always plead your case that you don't have the money, and the bail would be reduced.
What
So,
about pretrial too?
well, yeah, yeah,
Pretrial release.
yeah,
But all
but
of this is happening because of George Floyd, number one. All of this is happening
yeah,
because they're saying that, everything is unfair. But what people
yes,
need to understand and what you were going back, so that's the emotional appeal that they're appealing to people.
yeah,
That it's not fair for this and they're putting us in jail for that. But I went online and I wanted to just give the definition because when a district attorney is bringing a case, they have the case and the evidence has to fall within a certain evidentiary kind of lineup. And if they don't feel they have enough for a first degree murder case, they're going to bring it down to a second degree murder case or a first degree or whatever. In the state of Illinois, a second degree felony, which a murder would be I'm sorry, it's considered a class one felony, second degree murder in Illinois. It only holds up to, because there's no death penalty, between 4 and 20 years in prison, and the alternative is that they can get probation. So depending
Wow.
on how they murder somebody, whether or not the level of intent, if it was a serious provocation, the intent of passion, if you have a good defense attorney, they can
mhm,
argue that down. So a
mhm,
person could literally murder somebody in absolute cold blood, and if you have a really good attorney, get that down to second degree murder for a first degree felony, class one felony, and they could walk on probation.
yeah,
And so,
That's
Don,
what it is.
let me. I want to be clear with what you said. You're a little low.
Okay.
In other words, if I murder somebody and it's second degree murder,
Mm-hmm.
then it all depends on how I murdered that person, all the criteria of the case, that I can walk free with no bail and don't be detained if I can get me a good lawyer and he can prove that the criteria for me to kill somebody was okay. Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much, according to the Illinois governor site that I am on, the legislation, it said at the time of the killing,
Hmm.
he or she is acting under a sudden and intense passion resulting in serious provocation by the individual killed or another whom the offender endeavors to kill.
Explain it,
He or
please.
she
You just went out, Don.
causes the death. So, what I'm saying is that's the definition according to the Illinois government site.
We can barely hear you, Don. There's something wrong. They're texting us saying that something wrong with your audible. Keep
My
talking. Let's see.
audio.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
we can
Seem
You're
hear
pretty
me.
very,
low.
you're very, very low. Can't hardly hear you.
Okay, let me see if I can turn it up on my side over here. Um, da. Let's see. Let's see. Is that a little bit better?
No, not yet.
Is that a little bit better, everybody? And you can hear
Not
me a little
really.
bit better?
Folks, you can also go to my page, David Lowry Jr., and you can post
That's the
comments.
other option.
Thank you, Sharon Miner. Can she hear you? Can you hear Sharon? No, she still can't hear you.
Okay, well, I will try it up again that she can hear me. If not, I'll have to go to a different venue. Let me try something else.
Okay, but Steve, let us talk about that now. I know for a fact that the timing of this whole situation was for this timing for this whole situation was for to try to get black folks, pull them back into the plantation
Yeah,
of the Democratic Party. You would
Can you hear
think
me
that
now? Okay, David.
yeah,
yes,
Okay.
yeah, we can hear you now. Keep
Okay.
talking.
So
There
what
you
I was
go.
what I was saying is, according to the, I'm on the www.illinois um, government site. And so what I'm saying, so their definition at the time of the killing, he or she is acting under a sudden and intense passion resulting from serious provocation by the individual killed or another whom offender endeavors to kill. But he or she negligently or accidentally causes the death of the individual killed. And it goes further. So one thing that I learned many years ago when I was in school, that the law can be very ambiguous.
Yep.
Yes.
Go back to what Steve said earlier when he read what now becomes a second degree offense. So they're changing what the definition of that was, and they're dropping
Yes.
it down, and they're saying this is what it's going to be now. Therefore, because Illinois does not have a death penalty, then if you look at what it is under a first degree murder, if they're now bringing it down to a second degree murder, then under the auspices of a second degree murder case, the penalty can only be between 4 years and 20 years or possibly probation.
And
So it's
that
important that we understand the
yes.
definition. We like to think that, oh, it's they, why didn't they charge this or why didn't they charge that? It all depends on how the defense attorney or the prosecuting attorney, or specifically in this case defense attorney, is able to argue the case
But
and
Mhm.
what
what,
they have to prove.
but
So
Don,
if
what,
they're reducing those things down, then you have more people that walk.
Yeah.
Don,
Okay.
what you're doing, Don, is you gave what the definition you just gave is the very thing that gets debated, argued in court, whether somebody did it accidentally or purposely. Whether see what you define, their definition is what something is determined in a court hearing.
Okay,
Exactly.
so
The
okay,
fact,
Exactly.
so folks,
But before
I'm
they bring the case, the
right.
prosecutor determines,
right.
okay, we have enough evidence for a first degree murder case. We have
So
enough evidence for a second degree murder case. So when you understand the definition of what those are now go back and read what they're making a second degree
right,
murder
right.
case. So
Folks,
So
now,
I
if,
want
if, if somebody comes and they feel that you did, so you have a gangbanger who feels that, Steve was coming after them. Now I have the right to shoot you. That was first a first degree murder charge, and now it's second degree.
and that's what should be decided in court, not
yes.
prior
Not
to
with
when
a judge.
somebody walks out. And
No, it's not. It's decided now before the judge. It's
that's what I'm getting
decided
at.
by the prosecution.
And it
Right.
shouldn't be. It shouldn't be.
Well, no, it should be the same, but we
Yes,
just shouldn't lower the level of the offense.
exactly. Yes.
So
And
if you
so
murder somebody, you shouldn't say now, oh, because you murdered them for this thing, or we're going to now make it a second degree. No, it should stay what it
Exactly.
is. But what they're
Exactly.
doing is they're selling it because now they can keep a lot of black folks out of jail. Just don't murder nobody, and you'll be out of jail.
exactly, and follow the law, then you won't be in jail.
Exactly.
But the trick to this is, and
Here's what the
sheriff,
thing is, David. They want people to believe that they are unable to control themselves, and that we have a reason. Why is it that other groups don't have that problem? Why is it that we tend to be the only ones just obey the law? Why is it that apparently the color of our skin prohibits us from being able to obey the law? What kind of nonsense is that?
Well,
But they have us
remember,
believing that we need that the people are unjust, and therefore the law has to be changed, because they're fundamentally trying to change the law, not for some of those other reasons, but because they want a police state.
yep,
Don
and
Marie,
that's true.
remember now, the black community, it's racist to have to show an ID to vote. What
And
they're saying is apparently the black community is not able to do stuff on their own. So now we're going to say you can't. It's racist to have to make somebody have an ID. How ludicrous is that?
well,
Right.
but the thing that bothers me the most is this: they use this law, and JB Pritzker, like I said, the Democrats are good about the psychological stuff, the throw the rock and hide your hand. See, they held this law long enough, right here to this point. Because see, there's a lot of black mothers and black families who are suffering because their sons, their daughters is locked up for a crime they committed. And so they're thinking now, well, Mr. Pritzker, let my boy out of jail. He let my son out of jail. Well, your son might have killed somebody, or your son broke the law, or he did something that he shouldn't have been done to get locked up. And I'm not saying everybody is like that, but if you committed a crime, then you need to do the time. That's just the bottom line.
Well, what they're
You
doing here in California, up in the San Francisco area, they've lowered the amount, raised the amount. In other words, you could go to Walgreens, you can go to a store and just clear the shelves. If that amount is under like 900 and some odd dollars or
Right.
$1,000, you don't go to jail.
Right.
You're free.
Right.
You can just take it. So they showed a video where this guy literally went behind the counter, just shoved a bunch of stuff and just walked out.
Yep.
Why? Because we have to begin to understand this is not a black thing, this is not a white thing. They are fundamentally trying to change how America works. And
Yes.
because of the injustices that have gone on, because of their people that are just the way that they are, we could go into that a different day, and they are using this emotional appeal.
And that's
on
why I'm
people, and it's wrong.
and
And people have
that's
to
what's
wake up.
happening here. That's what's happening in the black community in the state of Illinois. That's why they enacted this. And the reason that they said they enacted is because, well, people are sitting in Cook County and all they need is $100 to get out of jail. Well, whatever that you did and whatever crime that you committed, if it costs $100 to get out of jail and you can't get $100 from somebody, you need to sit in jail. That's just the
Well,
bottom
look,
line.
stop having your family get their lashes done, their nails done, and going to the club and buying a bottle. I mean, we can go through it. We can go through a myriad of things, but at some point, we have to begin to take responsibility for our own actions, and that is what we don't want to do. It is easier to be a victim of the situation, but not. And here's what I think: Black people have been able to rise above a lot of things. Even when they were being hung from trees, they still learned to read. When they were being murdered in the street for no reason, they still learned how to get an education. And it is no way you can say that the United States of America is that bad today. And
It
apparently we're
is.
doing worse
I'm gonna
today than
say
we
it.
did
When
then.
you get through, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. It is worse because see, when back in the day when we was doing that, people were educated. They had thoughts. They had common sense. They knew the system. Okay, but now we got ignorant children. Our children do not know how to they don't know how to the system. They don't know how to read. They don't know math. They have no social skills. They don't have critical thinking.
But
All
when
they
you
know,
take
hold
away
up. All they know about is the foolishness.
But when you take away a person's identity and shift it, see, the one thing, if you begin to go back and look at how we conducted ourselves before, we knew who we were. We knew one thing: we're
Exactly,
just
we
as
did.
good as you. We didn't need
Exactly.
it. I don't care if you like me, don't like me. I don't need you. We don't. And we don't. Why is it that all we talk about is being victims? But yet, when you begin to do the research, you begin to see the accomplishments that we made in this country despite the adversity. But we have allowed the powers that be, the Al Sharpton, the squeaky wheel gets the noise, that has just said, no, don't get too high. You're just this, you're just that. And we have chosen to believe that. As a man thinketh, so is he. If you still think you're on the plantation, if you still think that you're less than, if you still think, and I'm going to be honest, if you really think, if Black America really thinks that white folks are thinking that much about them, they got another thing coming. They're trying to get their kids through school, get their stuff done. They are not putting that much energy into it. But yet we let the pundits and these public officials make us feel that they're just thinking about us all day and specifically trying to keep us from getting ahead. May it never be.
One of the things for sure is this. White folks is minding their own business and they trying to raise their own kids.
Hello?
They're just like us. They don't have time for this foolishness. It's that 1%, the ones who are trying to keep us separated. And that's been one of the biggest keys, is that they feed white folks all this bad image of Black folks. And the same thing with Black folks. They tell Black folks, white folks are all rich. They don't care about us.
That's right.
They don't care about our families. They don't do this and that. When all actuality, white folks and Black folks are doing the same thing, working, coming home, trying to raise their kids, trying to keep food on the table, trying to keep the bills paid. They don't have time to be worrying about what the people are saying about other folks. But see,
Mhm.
that's how they've been able to keep us separated
Right.
that way.
And now
'Cause
they're trying to do it even in the money by making, and Biden is doing this, even in the money by trying to reduce or eliminate the credit scoring system because they
Yep.
want to make everything fair and equitable. And people are falling for that. When you don't know who you are, when you
Yes.
have no identity and everything's emotional and you've been shown nothing else, then what happens? You believe anything. And so what he's done, but the American people don't know, they're trying to centralize things. But you can't just do it. You have to take one step after another step after another step. And people don't understand what public and private really mean. So when they start talking about things that are public or central, that means the government's doing it.
Yes.
That means that
Exactly.
the people that are trying to prevent privacy.
Steve.
And so David's going to be bringing in and transitioning our segments, but that's another reason. And only 5% of the American people save money. I mean, or have a bank account. What the heck?
Well,
Oh,
it
5% don't have one.
well, let me say this to the American people. We caused all of this ourselves. We caused it because we created this monster. We created this monster called politicians, and we created this government. And so now they have turned against us. The government has gone totally rogue. It is not thinking about the will of the American people. It is not. Their whole idea is what they have in their heads. And this is why I said we need to have term limits. We need to shut these guys down after a year or two if they've not done nothing. We should not have a Nancy Pelosi still in office. We should not have a Maxine Waters still in office. All the black politicians here in the city of Chicago, they need to be removed out of office because these black political leaders have caused the problems in the black community by not standing up and doing the right thing for their constituents. And until the black community understand this and the people start to stand up and say, guess what? If you don't do what you're supposed to do within your time frame, then we have to fire them. We shouldn't, let me say this. Jesse White should not have stayed in the office over 30 years. He shouldn't have been in that office all that time. He didn't do nothing to help the black community. All these politicians, you name it, still in office. LaShawn Ford on the West Side, been in office, ain't did nothing for the West Side. Lilly, all of them. David Moore, all of these black politicians sitting down in Springfield, sitting in the city council in Chicago, and getting a paycheck and doing nothing in the black community. They're not worried about crime. They're not worried about nothing. All they're worried about is getting a paycheck, and they continue to lie and make black folks think they really doing something when they're not. Steve?
Well, what really gets to me is like you were just talking about how they've tried to cover up the success of the black community and stuff. I mean, look what they did to Ben Carson. Look what they did to Herman Cain. Nancy Green. Do you know who Nancy Green was?
Tell us.
Aunt Jemima,
Yeah,
right?
I remember her. Yeah, right on that syrup bottle.
That was success that today society has eliminated. A black woman that was successful. That's what burns me is the black community that has made something of themselves, such as Herman Cain and Carson and that, have been discarded like it means nothing. And then you look at all the black athletes that are making hundreds of millions of dollars, and 90% of them they don't have nothing to do with their communities no more.
That's because, and let me say this to you, and that's why I tell people all the time, especially the brothers and sisters who belong to these fraternities and sororities. See, they were supposed to be the talented 10. They were supposed to go to college. They were supposed to come back to the black community and invest into it and help rebuild it. But instead, when they got to college, they became Greeks, and they didn't care about being black no more. They didn't understand that the Greeks went to Timbuktu in Africa and learned what they learned. They didn't understand that the Egyptians learned what they learned from Africa, the black people. And so when you got black folks that fails the responsibility to uphold their communities, fail the responsibilities to come back and reach back, then you see what we see now.
No, it's mentality. I'm gonna disagree with you right there, David. Here's why.
Let me finish. Let me finish first. No. Let me finish.
Okay.
Let me finish. Because see, I've seen it. I've seen it too, but I can tell you this. There's so many college educated people that disassociate with the black community. Every day you see it. You don't see none of these college people coming back uplifting the black community. You see them coming home making money off the black community.
Not true, David.
No, that's not true. They use all this psychological stuff. They use all this psychological stuff that they learned in college and have not reinvested in the black community. You went to college, right?
I did.
You went to college, right?
What
is your investment?
I'm gonna answer that question for you.
Do I answer the question? What is your investment? Because what I see is this. The only people I see in the black community, like Mr. Boxdale, from at the grassroots people, myself who deal with the grassroots people, I don't see no college people. Hold up. Let me finish. I do not see no college people out here in the streets. We didn't have none of them brothers and sisters from these organizations when we marched on the 22nd. We didn't have none of them out there because they was afraid to come home to their own communities. So when you start talking about college people, and I've seen what they've done, which is nothing to help us, then don't make me step out of myself on you. You got a few minutes to say something.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this. That's half truth, and I'm gonna tell you why. I have a friend. Hold on. I have a friend right now. Her husband is a black pilot. There is an association of black pilots. He went to a school, predominantly black, upward mobile black high school in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and told them, if you gave a full presentation, if you want to go to school, if you want to become a pilot, if you want to do A, B, C, or D, nobody came up to him. Nobody. So yes, I agree.
That's because they're ignorant. That's because they don't know nothing. No. Let me say this. Our kids are the most undereducated out of everybody.
No.
Our children are undereducated because they don't have the proper teachers in there. They're not getting the proper training at home. They're not getting anything. And that's why they're killing like they kill it, because they're ignorant. They have no knowledge. And our college people ain't doing nothing.
About a basketball and a football. We have a responsibility within our own communities and our own families. So do I think that there are people in the black community that have not gone back to help? Yes.
Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier,
but there are some
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Jim Brown. I know a lot of people who have came back home and they've stood up to try to help the black community, and we haven't had the help from our athletes, these young athletes.
But we can't just look at it there. We are responsible for
we are responsible, but it's a team effort, Don. What I'm trying to tell you, it's a team effort.
Those families are responsible for teaching their kids how to.
Yes, but check this out. Check this out. Look at the white community. Now let's do the comparison. Let's talk apples to apples. Look at the white community. Look at the white athletes who go. They come back home. They give to United Way. They do this. They help create economic development. Look at the white community and how it's thriving.
It's in the family.
Look at the white community and how it's thriving. But what I'm saying to you is this. We as a people do not reinvest into each other. We don't. And that's why we lag behind. I got a caller coming in.
Okay,
Dre, are you there?
I'm here.
Man, jump in here, Dre, right quick.
Well, what's the topic? I missed out on everything.
Dre, what I'm talking about is this. I'm talking about how these young black athletes have not come back to the black community. I'm also talking about the talented 10. All our college educated people who are Greeks now that do very little in the black community, but most of them are afraid to come back home. When we marched in Inglewood, I sent an invitation out to all the groups. I even called you. I said, man, get y'all people to come out here and help support it. No one showed up because they ass was scared to come to the hood. And that's the truth. And so, Don, you sitting up here telling me about college educated people. I'm college educated.
You can't put
but what I did though, what I did though was make sure I brought my black self back home and interacting with my people in my community. I didn't go off. Wait a minute, I had money. I just didn't take my money and say, I'm not going back home. I didn't come home just to show my car off. I came home to help brothers and help them create businesses.
But not every
that's
black
what I'm saying.
person that is educated is not.
I'm not saying that, but the 99.99% is. Dre, go ahead on.
Well, regarding what you said, I mean, every time you say something like that, like about the black athletes and celebrities and try to say, man, we need to put pressure on them. We idolize them. We go to their shows. Yes. We support them. Every time you say that, you have black people, oh, well, that's their money. They can do what they want to with it. They making excuses for them. I feel that, we should put the heat on them because a lot of them, we made them. Without us, they wouldn't be where they are, a lot of them. So, they owe a debt of gratitude back to the black community. But, every time you say that, you have these so-called educated Negroes who think they know everything and sound so smart by saying, oh, yeah, well, it's their money. They can do what they want to with their money.
And they made the money off black people.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Michael Jordan is in my family, okay? Michael Jordan's mother is a Lowry. Michael Jordan gave nothing back to the black community. You had black men buying $300 and $400 gym shoes, and they couldn't feed their kids. Yep. That's just how stupid that it was.
Then
they were lining up outside shoe stores all night, camping all night to get a pair of Jordans, and yet the same parents wouldn't even go to the schools to a PTA meeting to find out their children are being turned into homosexuals.
Exactly.
Oh,
so why do we keep
and
giving
on that topic there, like I made the
people?
comment on your post regarding this politics. I mean, it's really a fraud if you think about it, the whole political thing, because at the end of the day, they do what they want. We had no say-so in this gay stuff, all of this stuff they push on. We are against it. But, it's not like they ask us, let's just take individual votes. They send representatives who's supposed to represent us. But these representatives are rubber stamp. They just go along with the status quo. Yes. They ain't there to raise no ruffle, no feathers. They just want to keep their little position, get their little money, and go on about their business. I mean, if you creating all these laws, how are you not asking us what we want? Why don't we have a real say-so?
Exactly.
We have that at the polls.
Man, please, ain't nothing honest in this country. And I'm going to tell you just like this. When they go to the polls in November, if they don't have honest people watching the polls, the damn elections are going to be stolen. Right here. Just like I said in Illinois the other day.
People to be poll watchers.
Well, but that don't matter. They push people out. I'm telling you, I sit right here myself. And I heard people talking about, well, man, you know what, man? We hated Trump so much. We did this and we did that. The people buy the machines, okay? They buy them.
Then where's the hope, David? So what I mean, where's the hope?
The hope is black people gonna have to separate psychologically, and they're gonna have to start rebuilding our own stuff.
So we're not gonna vote? So if
we gonna vote, but we become a voting base of power and not just dedicate ourselves to one party. Ken, are you there?
I'm here, brother. I'm Ken McClinton. I am the head of TECN.TV, and I am ever so thankful for David and for Steve and Don Marie. I got much respect for you. I wouldn't dare get into a debate with you. But I do want to say this real quick on the issue that y'all talk about college. You're talking about apples and oranges when you're making the comparison of whites going to college versus blacks going to college. Blacks have been consoled and counseled over the years that your purpose for going to college is to go get a good job, and especially a good government job. And once you've gotten that good government job, then you can take care of your family and take care of your needs in your community. But for whites going to college, it has always been a process of networking. Who do I know? Who do I get to meet? Who do I work with to make the next end meet? So that when I get out of college, the degree doesn't mean a thing to me. It's just a piece of paper, and I can get the government to pay for it.
Right.
But who am I going to hook up with so I can get the next big job or the next big contract in government or in the private industry, and then move on and create my own business. And thus, those same Black people who have been counseled and consoled to get a good government job will be working for me. That's basically the way I've always seen college working.
Let me tell you, I sold college.
Right because
hold on, I sold college for several upper top online schools, and what we had to tell people, they weren't going to Chicago, they weren't going to LA, they were finding these back hood cities, and they were asking, you know what we had to say to people? Well, you're not successful until you get a college degree, or you're not this, I don't care what you built. Why? So they could get that government money that they're putting people and get them to pay for.
Okay, so this let me say this right quick. All right, so listen to me closely, and I'm gonna say this one time so you can hear it. All right, so Black people, when we moved off the plantation down south, my father and my mother was a sharecropper. And when we moved off the plantation down south, we moved to Chicago, where there was supposed to have been opportunities for Black people, and it was. The migration to the factories, to different type of jobs, all of that. And so as the civil rights movement continued, Black people started to create economics. We started to create things, a better life for our children by civil rights, being killed, forced with water hoses, dogs, and all of that. And we told our children, you that go off to college, sonny, and you get an education and don't come back. Okay? And that's exactly what they did. They went and got education. They went and got these jobs. They moved out to the white community. They didn't come back to the Black community, okay? And now for all of y'all college people who don't want to be Black, who call yourself Greeks, when COVID came, you lost your job and you lost your mind. Because see, basically, you've been on a plantation called a job in the mine, and you're a slave to the job. Because I'm going to tell you this, I would never be a slave to anybody's job. If I worked for you and I didn't like you or we had a problem, I say, go to hell with your job, and I started my own business. But see, a lot of our college kids got caught up with the job. Now they got 10 or 20 or 30 years on the job. They got kids in school. They got the house. They got the car. And whatever that man tell them to do, if he tell them to jump up, if he tell them to shoot themselves, they'll do it because I don't want to lose my job. You lose your manhood. You lose your family for a job. That's what, Dre? You want on that? You want on that, Steve?
Oh no,
But that's the whole thing, and it's called separation. And because Black people are so separated, divided house can't stand. That's why our children ain't back, and that's why they're not. That's why we don't have our own schools, no reinvestment. That's why we don't have our own banks, no reinvestment. That's why there's no economic in the Black community. Black people have not reinvested into ourselves. We've been too busy with our hand out, waiting for somebody to give us something. And until we understand this, Black people will never rise out the ashes until we separate psychologically and get everybody out of our community. Get the Arabs out, get the whites out, get the Jews out, get the Chinese out, get all of them out of our community because they don't put no money back into the community. All the stores in the Black community should be ran by Black people. We should have our own economics. And until we do that, until we build our own economics and our own communities, then we're always going to be kissing butt because we always going to be begging somebody else to save us. And we have to save ourselves. Now, Don, you can get on that if you want to.
Uh-oh.
I can't hear you.
All right. I totally disagree. I do not believe in separatism. I do not feel that we need to go back and segregate ourselves. As I said before, W.E.B.
I said psychologically.
It doesn't matter. When you say psychologically, but you give an example of having our own money and putting out this person and putting out that person, that then becomes physically.
Okay, so tell me this. Can you go to the white neighborhood and sell food? You ain't going in there and
It's
open up
not
no
about
stores.
that.
Yes, it is. It's
No, it's
about
not.
economics.
No,
You
it's not.
don't see.
No,
Let me tell you
it's
something. I
about
can't go to Little Mexico. I can't go to Little Mexico and sell soul food. But Mexicans come to the black community selling tacos,
it's not
enchiladas,
about
and
that.
everything else. It really is. Until black people control their own economics, if we don't control our
You
own
know,
economics, we can't control our
we are the
communities.
only group that feels that we need to separate.
We
Nobody else
do.
ever comes here
Malcolm
and
had it
does that.
right. Malcolm had it right.
We are the only group, and it is through insecurity that we do that.
Okay,
We
so
are
my question to you, why are we like this?
equal as we know why. It's a mindset. It's a conditioning. At the end of the day, we are just as human, just as good, just as equal as anybody else.
But we're not enacting on it. We're not acting on it. If we was
Okay,
just
I
as
get
good
it.
and just as equal, why are we in this damn condition?
Because
That's what I
we
keep
have
saying.
to
You keep saying about what you think. I'm telling you about what I see when I
Well,
walk
I
out
see
that
it too,
door.
David.
But why are
Hold
we in the
on, David.
condition?
David, did you forget what I look like? Like I haven't been through this
Well,
too?
I'm
Hello.
talking. What I'm saying is, if we so smart, why the hell are we in this condition? Why are we still on welfare?
Look.
Why don't
As
we
I
have
was
nothing?
working, I'm telling you, but we can't keep being emotional. We have
No,
to
I'm
look at
saying
we.
separate
Are you going to
psychologically.
let me answer the question?
I'm saying separate psychologically.
Are you going to let me answer the
Maybe
question?
I might.
So
Steve, you
we
want to
as a
answer?
people, the statistics have shown that when you keep rehearsing something, when you keep rehearsing them against us, when you
It's
keep
not them
rehearsing
against
what
us.
they did, we cannot do that. We have to get to a place where we take responsibility for
Time
what
is
we
gone.
do.
We got to pick this up tomorrow, folks. This is a great conversation. Steve, your last words.
My last word is this. I started out saying 90% didn't. Now, what we were listening to was a vigorous debate. This is healthy. This is healthy. This is what our country was founded on. We can
We gonna
sit
throw
here.
hands? No, we're not, David. You still love me, David?
Sometimes I don't know. I don't know. I have to think about you now.
We can sit here and debate each other, but at the end of the day, we're going to have respect for each other. My last word is college isn't what they want you to believe it to be. These two people right here having a vigorous debate is healthy. Everybody should be able to do it, and we get a lot farther.
It's okay to disagree this. Thank you, Steve. Now, Miss Marie, you got your last chance to say something.
Look, I am all about the empowerment of all people, and specifically those that look like me. I'm just tired of hearing about separating this and don't do that. We are just as equal, just as viable, just as smart. And what we need is people like you who are leaders. Instead of saying let's separate, let's begin to promote the goodness.
Okay, come on with your time. We don't talk too much. We got to go. Ken probably hit my phone. We'll pick this up tomorrow, 6 o'clock. Folks, I want to thank you for tuning in. This was a very, very good show because it allowed us to talk about issues in the Black community that we face that nobody talks about. But I want to say this. These are my last words, and then I'm out, okay? My last words is this. Yes, Black people, we need to become self-sufficient. I'm not saying separate from white folks. I'm saying psychologically, we have to learn to take care of ourselves. We have to get rid of the welfare. We have to get people out of our community that are there as parasites and carpetbaggers. If Black people got back to the thought pattern of the Black Wall Street, when Black people got together and they created a conglomerate in economics all over the country, that's what we have to get back to. If Black people are going to be equal, we have to be equal on our own ground. Then we can deal with everybody else. White folks don't want to help us if we ain't trying to help ourselves. If we still killing each other, we ain't doing this and doing that. If we take care of ourselves, then we can look at other places and say, hey, if you want to come help us, that's fine. But we have to be self-sufficient and we have to help ourselves. And until Black people start helping themselves and investing into their own selves, We're always going to be having this debate, and we always going to be behind the 8 ball, and our communities are always going to be looking for handouts, and we always going to be being controlled by these different parties because we don't have nothing of our own. God bless y'all. Thank y'all for listening. Y'all tune in tomorrow, 6 o'clock. We got another great show. We're going to get this thing off the ground. And like I said, remember, we must come together. But Black people, we must be self-sufficient. God bless you and peace.